Can I say something that may sting a little bit? Just because our schedules are just so jam packed, that does not mean that it is going to reflect in our bank account. And I want to have this conversation with high capacity women and high capacity leaders in general. Because listen, we're managing teams, we are solving problems at home, we're checking emails, we have an appointment here, we have this and we have that. But here's the reality, our financial status is not really reflecting all of the busy things that we are doing. And in this episode, I want to talk a little bit about that because what's going on in the climate right now, we need to make sure that we're focusing on the things that matter, our finances. Welcome back to Curating Consistency, and I'm your host, Coach KB. And here we believe that productive days lead to prosperous ways. So listen, busyness and productivity are two different things. So the real question is, why as high capacity leaders, we are often busy and booked, but yet we are not building that financial wealth that we need to build for the lifestyles that we want. So why do I want to have this conversation? Because for those of us who watch the financial markets, we see it's fluctuating quite a bit. And I was having a conversation and it really brought me back to the time in the season I was in when my schedule was so booked, but my savings was thin. And because of that, I have now had to decide that I'm going to treat time and money as stewardship partners in order to help me to continue to build wealth while also managing my time. So if this interests you, stick around for this episode. If we are honest, we have booked busy days and yet they are financially unproductive. So one of the things I want to ask, and the real question is, why are so many high capacity leaders and women always busy, but yet feel financially behind in life? So most people say it's because of the income. And sometimes that's the case. But I want to challenge our thought process through this and really ask the question, how are you managing your time and how are you connecting your time to your financial stewardship goals? And let's be honest, a lot of times our time management is not of our fault, but it's really due to scope creep. Right? And so what does that mean? We're checking emails, we're helping this one, we're building this, we're doing that. Not to forget that many of us go on social media disguising it as research, and then we look up, and for the week, we have wasted 19, 20, 24 hours, a whole day scrolling on social media. So why is scope creep so dangerous? Because it leads to those tiny leaks. And in those tiny leaks becomes hours, and then that hours make you feel tired. And then when you're tired, you make poor decisions. And when you're making poor decisions, that means you can't show up consistently. And remember, it is in those consistent moments that wealth is in fact built. So what does a shift look like for you and I? It is really around this area of stewardship, being a good stewardship or being responsible for the things that the Lord has entrusted us with. So if we are disorganized with our time, with our finances, with the opportunities and the influence that He has given us, will God give us more in this time and season? And I go to one of my favorite quotes from Stephen Covey that really says that the key is not to prioritize your schedule, but schedule your priorities. And for many of us, in order before we can build this financial space that we're looking to improve in, we have to come in by really scheduling some priorities. So now that we talked about scope creep, what is the problem that many of us are having? We talked about our responsibility, which is in stewardship. I really want to just leave you all with strategy, right? Because we can talk a lot about these things, but without the execution strategy, many of us will hear this and just say, oh, that was good and nice. So what's the strategy? The strategy is real simple. The first thing you're going to do is to set a weekly appointment on that busy booked calendar that you have. Yeah, you're going to set up a stewardship session for yourself every week. Why is this important? Because in order for you to see the change in the growth, you have to show up consistently for yourself. The other thing you're going to do is you're going to decide a goal for that session. Just one thing, not 20 things. I want to do this. I want to do this. No, no, no. You're going to decide on one thing that you're going to focus on for that week. So, for example, it could be like, I'm going to get all of my financial documents in order this week. That may take for many of us maybe 1 or 2 sessions, but that's okay. You already go in knowing the goal for that session. And the last thing you're going to do as part of this strategy is just to track. This becomes very important because tracking helps you understand what's working and where you need to shift. So listen, if you are serious about taking the next action steps and really being focused on that scope creep and setting up that time on your calendar and taking those next steps into being a good steward of your time as well as your finances, give me a high five in the chat. So let's come back to the question that we started with. Why for so many high capacity women and leaders is their schedule so full, yet their savings is thin? It's real simple, because time and money are two different currencies. And unless we are intentional in how we are spending one, the other will never be built. Because listen, busyness is not the goal. Financial fitness and financial stability is. And this is why here on Curating Consistency, we say that we believe that productive days lead to prosperous ways. So if this episode resonated with you, that time and money should be stewardship partners, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, because remember, productive days lead to prosperous ways.